People don't dislike you. So why are you spending so much trying to get people to like you, or trying to make yourself like somebody different? I promise you, like, people don't dislike you. If there's anything they don't like about you, it's because they don't like those things about themselves. That just is what it is, and you just gotta let that be. Like, a lot of times there's gonna be a lot of feelings that come through your journey where you're like, people don't get me, people don't like me, I'm all alone, all these things, and it's on repeat. And it's very difficult moving through that reality when you assume that your reality is that you're alone and nobody likes you and you have no friends and nobody will ever love you and all these things. There are times like whenever we go out and date or try and have friends or whatever, and both of those things can end in breakups. And both of those things could be very painful or frustrating for you whenever you're the one doing the breaking up or whatever. But when it comes to the things that you're doing, as long as it's truly sparking joy in you, it just doesn't really matter if people like you or not, or if people are going to give you the chance to be yourself with them, you know? And that's okay, because you don't have to, like, not everybody gets to see the best self version of yourself, or even like get to experience you in the worst version of yourself, you know? If they want to be your friend, then they gonna be your friend. And they're gonna allow you to be angry at them and argue with them and like, hey, I see how that happened. Oops, my bad. And then grow together, as opposed to them always hoping that they could do better than you, or them envying your progress, or them whatever. And honestly, if you're sitting there thinking that somebody is envying your progress and is jealous of you and is all these things, then you are the one manifesting that energy around you. If you really don't want people to be jealous of you or envious of you or wishing for your downfall, then quit thinking that people are doing it. You know? Just don't think that people are doing it. Cuz are you doing that to people? Are you wishing on their downfall? Are you envious of their growth? Are you all these things? Are you? And if you really genuinely are not, then why is it that you can't move through life feeling ignorant to the fact that other people are doing it? Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's a willful ignorance. Okay? Sometimes people really are just putting we're a lot of times we got to put ourselves in a spot where like, look, this is just, I'm gonna ignore it until I have the ability to not ignore it anymore. And so if you're going through that right now, it can be hard. There will be misunderstandings in your life, and that's okay. It's not the intent. Like, even if somebody comes up to me and they say some of the worst stuff to my face, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll try and figure out what's going on. Granted, some people are mean. Some people are just mean, and they're just in their mean phase, and they can't get out of it, and they're stuck, and they're angry, and they're sad, and they're scared. Um, but eventually, those people can get out of it. And sometimes it just takes somebody smiling and being like, "What? What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about." Wait, I'm a who? Why would you say that to me? Like, just finding people, showing a way to lighten up about some stuff in general. Because, like, a lot of times people are always taking things so seriously, like, just just assuming that people are being the worst version of themselves instead of doing the best that they can. People are assuming that everybody's like out to do it maliciously, or they're messing stuff up maliciously. And I just don't really feel that way. Like, I feel like as humans, like, we always like kind of have some disconnects, as like we always have our own like biases and like beliefs on people already. So then whenever you're interacting with those people, like we're all guilty of it. We're gonna naturally like have our own beliefs of that person based off of how they look, you know, or how they move in life, or how they write their letter O or something. Like we all have some type of psychological noise that prevents us from fully being able to understand somebody. And in the same way, we can't be fully understood because there's psychological noise. That's okay though. As long as you understand yourself and you know your intentions and all that, that's all that matters. Um, Whenever it comes through moving through this life in general, like you have friends, you have people who understand you. You are not alone. Even when you're alone, you can lie to yourself and say that you're not alone, and all these things. Something for me that was a big help was just like lying to myself and saying, okay, or I mean, lying to myself, when in truth, I was telling myself the truth. In my head, I felt like I was lying to myself because the truth in my head at that point was that I was alone, I was misunderstood, I had no friends. It was just, I was mean to myself. I was always calling myself names and, like stupid B words, stupid this, like really mean to myself. And don't get me wrong, sometimes we're stupid B words. But that doesn't mean we have to be mean to ourselves. Like we all have an inner child. We all have a little boy, little girl, little child of God within us. And like, if I wouldn't say the same thing to a 5-year-old, I'm not going to say it to myself. Like I wouldn't be like, push a little kid down and be like, you got stretch marks. I wouldn't be like, that's just not how I am naturally. Now, granted, if you're naturally somebody who would push a kid down and be like, you got stretch marks, 5-year-old, then more power to you. Because like that's a lot of work to work through. Honestly, you're playing the game on hard mode to work through it and be like, to get through that urge. If you have the urge to push a child and tell them that they have stretch marks, it is. There's some other things going on, and so I commend you on your journey, and I wish you much luck on it. But in general, like just know that you can do all the things that you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say, and just move in faith that you know yourself and that you got this. Like, cause this year is gonna be a lot on a lot of people. And I know the people here who are watching this video and stuff. Like, I've got a lot of people who regularly come and see my comment or come and comment and all that. And so if y'all are if it's any of y'all watching this right now, um, you got this. Like you're on a journey of making a lot of connections, and I think a big reason why you met me was because like I was on a journey of making connections for a long time, and it takes a while. Like me personally, I like it for me. It's hard to make friends because I like to argue or I like to debate. I like to also, like, if somebody's coming to me about venting, they have to let me know that they're venting. Otherwise, I immediately go into advice mode and then have to like stop myself halfway through. I'm like, oh shoot, you were just wanting to vent, weren't you? My bad, my bad. I went in and I started telling you about yourself, and that was on me. Oops. But then I also joke a lot, and sometimes people don't feel like joking. Some people don't really catch that I'm joking, or that I am moving through things. And so a lot of times that's where I was misunderstood in life. My biggest misunderstanding in life was whenever I was a kid and I was being, the trigger warning, I was being actively abused by my babysitter, and I had told my parents, hey, my babysitter's spanking me or hitting me. And they thought that it was a spanking, like just corporal punishment spanking. No, it was not. Like she was straight up like balling fists up, like beating me. I would have black eyes. I would have like lots of things. Like I had my head smashed into the corner of a bench, like from where my eye was. I could have lost that eye. I'm so blessed that I did not end up in the news, because there were times that multiple abusers were together and configuring and conjoining to all just make me the star of the show. And so whenever I told my mother that I was being abused, but I didn't have the words for it because I was a child. I didn't have much of a vocabulary then. Um, so whenever I told her, "Hey, I'm being hit," she thought I was being spanked. Then said, "Hey, don't spank her." And then I got the worst beating after that, by my babysitter, because it just wasn't handled, and I didn't have the words at the time to fully explain that this was physical, mental, sexual, emotional, spiritual abuse, at that time. But when you're basically a toddler, how are you going to have those words? And so as we grow older, we realize that we can, even if we missay something, we can then notice when people misunderstand and then make a communication at that point. Even at that age, because I was so young, like even if I caught that she misunderstood, being that at that age, you don't really know that you're allowed to then say something in return and say, no, this is what I actually mean, type of thing. Um, and I think that's something that is a power, because then you're like, well, wait, hold up. I heard that you heard something, and turns out you heard this, and this is what I mean. So let's just go back, because then even alerting and saying, hey, I didn't mean it like that, but it was almost like a stone shock, because it wasn't something I had experienced before, and it was something that was detrimental to what I was experiencing traumatically as a child. As I've gotten older, it did kind of seep into my life. Wondering, if I am a good communicator or not. And I'm not. I'm not a good communicator. I tend to tell a lot of stories all over the place and move all around, but I used to really believe I was good at communicating because I was talking. But turns out I was just confusing a lot of people. And so sometimes, like, whenever you're living in that life where that's how you speak, majority of your speaking ways are confusing to people, you start to be like, well, it must be me. And it is me. One, I was born during a time of Mercury retrograde. When I came onto this earth, it was Mercury retrograde. My Mercury is now out of retrograde, though, so it's like technically I can speak better. But also, English is not my first language. Energy is. And so usually whenever I'm talking to people about their energy, they're going to get a bit defensive. So whenever you're talking to people about their energy, when you're talking to people about whatever's going on, good, bad, ugly, people don't even like whenever you start talking about the good energy sometimes, because they want to be like, what do you mean? How do you know this? What do you know this about me? And it gets to the point where you're just like, okay, oops, my bad. I didn't mean that your energy, because you're over there telling them that they have good energy, but some reason they're hearing from you, because it's your face, they're like, well, that I don't want her to think I got a good energy. I don't like her energy. And not being able to see how you are perceived can be a big factor for that. Especially in like our collective, like this collective that's here. A lot of y'all are so spiritual and so guided by intuition, and that's confusing to people in the world, like, even like if you're trying to like move around and like just like your intentions are good, and maybe sometimes like you are almost like able to be very familiar with people right away because you just understand them right away, but then almost that familiarity with them makes them feel even more confused, like, you don't know me, and you could be saying exactly the thing that they love and like, but because they feel like you don't know them, all of a sudden they can't hear the words that you're saying, because that is a psychological noise. Anything that's a psychological noise is going to get in the way of people hearing your message. That is okay. Like, if people are misunderstanding you about, like, or whatever, about something little, that doesn't matter. And even if they're misunderstanding you about something large, it doesn't really matter, because you have yourself, like, whenever you're preaching or giving testimony or guiding in any way, a lot of times those words can be for yourself as well. So even if you are pouring so much into the person in front of you and they are just like they got their hand over their cup, like, you still are picking up on the splashes of the water. Your soul is still listening to what you have to say. And sometimes you're saying stuff out loud that you would have never said unless somebody had come to you and was misunderstanding you, or pushing you to find a different way to say it. And so whenever you're trying to, like, give people that message of wisdom and guidance and growth and love and talking about egos and all that, there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, one, you're crazy, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're whatever mean things that they can say to you, but they're gonna feel that way, and it's because it really brings up stuff in us. Period. Even I always get stuff brought up in me. I'm a very emotional being. I'm not stoic in any way. Um, so, like, there were plenty of times whenever I have been growing and lifting myself up through the vibes, and then all of a sudden, like, it's just like I'm being told by somebody, like, usually on the internet or something, like, oh, did you know that having this emotion can, like, really be an ego? And I'm like, I don't have egos. I don't want to kill any of my egos. I can incorporate my egos. I can this, or whatever. It was just always something that I was like, well, I don't really want to do that, so I'm not going to do it. And so let me give myself an excuse to not do the thing. You know? You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes we need an excuse to not do the thing. But oftentimes, if we don't want to do it, we really don't need an excuse. We'll just make one. But we don't need an excuse. We could just not do it. You can save your money, or because you can save your money, your energy, your time, energy, and money on that excuse, and being like, well, and just not show up and just not do it. But either way, it's okay. Wherever you're at right now is where you're at. Wherever they are at is where they are at. It is not your job to make sure that you're piggybacking. Like, you don't have to lift people on your back and then drag them and take them to where they're going. You've got enough on your shoulders. If you are here right now, I guarantee everybody here, period, got enough on your shoulders to be adding some people on top of it. Just focus on your journey, trust in yourself, trust in your path, and it's you're on here listening to me, but eventually you're not going to be listening to me anymore. Eventually you're going to just hop off and never see my face again. Sometimes people are literally meant to hear 2 words from me and then never see me again. But some people are going to be here for a while. You know who you are. Some of y'all are going to be here for a while and have been messaging me, so y'all know who y'all are on Patreon. You know who you are. But either way, like, it's a lot being a high vibes person, and you're out here trying to teach people things and grow and all that. It's a lot. And so here, the idea of this community is, like, for us to all be able to talk and to become community. Like, if y'all hop on the Patreon, the free one too, y'all can hop on for free and still be in the I'm seeing numbers chat, and let me know what numbers you're seeing. But even then, like, we can still have other conversations that don't even matter, that got nothing to do with high vibe stuff. We get to talk about whatever, as long as I'm available, of course. Sometimes I take a little time to respond because my Patreon doesn't give me notifications all the time, like, for my messages. But, like, it's nice to just talk about things that aren't all like, okay, here's my spirit and all this. Sometimes we could just talk about nothing, like literally have no, it has no substance whatsoever. Um, but then every once in a while, we might just talk about something in substance. As y'all know, the ones who we are messaging back and forth on Patreon. Um, Sometimes we're talking about nothing. Sometimes we're talking about something. But you know, it's a journey, and the people who are for you are gonna find you the same way that y'all have found, like that we've found each other in some way. Like we're a community and we're friends. I mean, maybe not friends. I'm not gonna call us family because that's like some corporate stuff. But you know, we're people who are giving each other energy exchange, and for whatever reason, y'all find what I'm saying of value, like it's resonating with you, and so I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, you know. And if y'all wanna speak with me directly, that's the way to do it, is through Patreon. Right now, I've got 4 patrons, officially 4, and so I just wanted to give a quick thank you to all 4 of y'all. Y'all are so amazing. All of y'all are so amazing, and thank you so much for y'all support. Um, it's really nice being able to see all of y'all's like kind of different personalities based on how y'all interact. Like there's like sometimes like there's like a couple who just don't even really like get the notifications, I think, on it. So, but the people who do interact, and that's super cool too. Um, but thank you all. Y'all are also cool. All 4 of y'all. I'm gonna point as if there's here 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if I'm gonna edit any of that in. But it's been really nice getting to know you guys and getting to talk with you guys, and yeah, so far it's just been really a really good experience. Let's see, it's 8:10, so I gotta start getting moving for the day today. What is it? Today's Wednesday. Oh shoot, I got an eye appointment today. Today's Wednesday at 8:10. I'm gonna go to my eye appointment and whatnot, and I thought it was on Monday. Turns out it's Wednesday. But anyway, lovies, in the meantime, keep an eye out for the numbers, or keep a lookout for the numbers, and stay synchronized.